pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so I know a lot of you are here for the rezoning. We're going to do our regular commissioner business first. We've got about 8 or 9 agenda items to get through, and then we'll get to the rezoning. So, Mr. Bramble, you want to go ahead and start with the minutes and the claims, please?
Okay, first off, we have November 15th minutes for the rezoning meeting and for the regular meeting.
I'm going to ask that we table those, Mr. Bramble, because I wasn't here, so we'll just vote on that at the next meeting.
Okay. And then we got the minutes for your bid opening, December 5th.
For the.
That's for Kevin's
for
assessment.
Kevin, yeah. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, by aye? Aye.
And I have November 12th through 18th claim docket for $4,141,203.39.
Any questions, Mike?
No, I would make a motion to approve that.
Second, all in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And next we got the November 19th through November 25th claim docket for $788,612.98.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And second.
All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Then we have November 26th through December 2nd, $1,813,363.21.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, by
Aye.
aye?
And lastly, I've got payroll for November 13th through November 25th for $1,233,901.51.
Okay. All right. How many more payrolls do we have left?
We got two.
2? Okay. Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, by
Aye.
aye? Anything else, Mr. Bramble?
I'm done.
You did pretty good without messing up any of those numbers. That's pretty good. Okay, third on the agenda here, we got KCB cleaning. Normally Tommy Roberts would be up here, but he's not here today. So Ricky, can you just give us a brief explanation of what's going on here, if you would come to the podium? Hey, can you turn your microphone on, Ricky? Sorry.
We currently have a Cleaner Way doing our cleaning service for the courthouse and community corrections and our jail. We were wanting to switch to KCB cleaning services for the new year.
Okay. Looks like for the full year, it's going to be a total cost of $46,800 or $3,900 a month. So just a new service to bring into the courthouse to clean. Community corrections.
This is community corrections as well.
Courthouse, community corrections, and,
The old jail, sorry.
yeah, dispatch.
And,
Yes.
okay, 911 services still there. Okay.
Yeah, for the time being.
All right. Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor, by
Aye.
aye? Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Harmless, easy. All right, Mr. Gardner, award bid for assessor's office. Do you want to speak about that? Or you just want us to? It's up to you.
Approved it.
Just maybe give us a brief synopsis of what it is.
This is a contract with a vendor that we actually use to go out and stratify neighborhoods and check on grading inconsistencies that we've had through the years. Used to, the county contracted someone to do ratio study and land study. I do that in-house now, and what allows me to do that is having someone to go out and do this other stuff.
Sure.
It also helps with reassessment, which we're forced to do by the state. We have to look at roughly 15,000 parcels a year. which with the current staffing, that wouldn't be possible. This person over the last 4 years has looked at approximately 13,000 parcels, which is more than what a full-time person would do. So it's in the county's best interest to pay out this contract versus hire someone full-time to do the same thing.
And then, full transparency, we had a bid opening yesterday and we only had one bid turned in. So, her name was Janet
Herman,
Herman.
Janet Herman.
Yeah, well,
She is the one that did it for the last 4 years, like I say, and it's been very efficient. We've worked well together. To actually do what the county wants is to have one set of eyes look at every parcel in the county to make sure it's consistent with grading. Would take approximately 11 years. So we would like to have the same person for that entire period, but it's a 4-year cycle.
Any more questions, Mike?
no, Kevin, I thank you for your continued efforts to comply with the state of Indiana rules and regulations and do it in an efficient manner for the people of the county.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve, the contract with Janet Herman for $59,000 annually.
Second?
All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, Cheryl, final resolution for Habitat ordinance.
Sorry, I know you were expecting John, so you have me. Cheryl Loudermilk, Chief Deputy Auditor. This is the final resolution assigning the tax sale certificate to the property at 1345 Third Avenue to Wabash Valley Habitat for Humanity. It's already been through the advertising process and taking care of all the legal things. I know you guys have been talking about this for a while, so this will finally get it deeded over to Wabash Valley Habitat.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Well, I think we talked about this particular lot when Habitat was opening a place down here on Dillman with some people that were active in Habitat for Humanity. We've got a good group right now, and they own pieces on either side of this, and it should be very positive for the neighborhood. So I make a motion to approve.
Okay. Karen, just, is there a resolution number on this? Resolution 2022-11? Commissioner Morris made a motion to approve, second. All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Karen. Alcohol monitoring service contract, Ms. Kessler?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is, the contract is for primarily our juvenile drug court. We had met with Bill Watson and to deal with home detention, and he is bursting at the seams, as you know, with home detention offenders. And so we, on our own, went out and looked for a company. The money has already been approved by the county council, so we do have that in the budget. We are also able to use this home monitoring equipment for other juveniles who are on probation, but the company will deal with them directly, billing the parent or guardian directly if they choose to go the route of having their child home on home detention. So again, we would not be responsible for that bill. The only bill that we would be responsible for are the kids that are in the drug court that we need to do home monitoring with.
Deb, is there any age thing on juvenile with home monitoring with the?
With age?
Yes.
We can, by the state of Indiana, we can keep a child on probation up until the age of 21. So
Well, I
this,
mean, would an 11-year-old have one of these bracelets or ankle bracelets or whatever?
well, there's no law.
Okay,
I cannot
that's what I was curious
possibly
about.
imagine that occurring.
Okay.
An 11-year-old would certainly be a child, if something like that is going on, would need to be looked at as a possible CHINS or a child that needs to be involved with the
Okay.
Department
Alright.
of Child Services as opposed to us.
Okay, all right, that's what I was curious about. Okay.
Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor by aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb. Number 7 on the agenda here is a canteen services amendment. Along with everything in the world, our prices are going up for meal services at the jail. It's going up about 6 cents. If you serve around 280 servings, it's at $1.66 a meal. More than 349 servings, it's $1.58 a meal. And 350 plus servings, it's $1.51 a meal. So we also get a 10% rebate on every meal that we make for Edgar County and Clark County that gets sent to them. So, Mike, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Got this contract yesterday.
I reviewed some of that, not terribly thoroughly, but, yeah, I looked it over.
Okay,
So you should make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, by aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robbins, next 2 or 3 things are yours.
Morning, Commissioners. Larry Robbins, Fuel County Engineer. I do have 3 contracts, or 2 amendments and 1 contract for you this morning. The first one is part of the countywide bridge inspection contract. Federal Highway changed the design vehicle for some of the load postings that we need to do on some of our bridges. They changed that to an HL 93 vehicle. Didn't change a whole lot, but did require them to look at those load posted bridges and make sure that those were all in compliance and we had the proper signage out. So this contract amendment number 2 is for $8,729. Is with VS Engineering.
Okay.
County Attorney.
County Attorney's reviewed it. I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor, by aye.
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 Thank
Number
you.
1, Doug.
The second contract is also with VS Engineering. This is an on-call contract as part of our bridge inspection contract. As you know, we've had several issues with some of our bridges this year. We've required them to come out and inspect some things. We've done some additional work on some of the bridges. They've been able to come out and help us do these types of things. And this is something in the future that I'd like to be able to have that at our discretion to be able to use going forward. So this is just an on-call contract. This is something that, I will work with the commissioners on before we request them to come out and take a look at this so that you guys are aware of what we are doing under this on-call contract. Terry did review this. He just wanted to make sure that you were aware that, this gives me the discretion to use this contract, but I will, of course, always work with you guys to let you know what's going on and when we would need it.
So this is at no cost at this point. This is just a
At no
contract.
cost, this is just it just establishes a fee schedule, which I'm sorry I did not include, but it's standard with our other countywide bridge inspection contract, so same fee schedule, so it's just an as needed. If we need them to come out, take a look at something, or maybe design a beam for us or something to replace it. We do a little bit of this work with our own services, so it helps having a design contract to be able to come in there and do that for us, so we don't have to do that.
And you've had need of this service a couple of times this year.
Correct. We've utilized it twice this year already. It's kind of been rolled into our other contract, but we're kind of eating up some of those things that are in that contract, so I'd rather have this one separate. It also allows us to track it a little easier that way when we have it, so I know what the use is and if we need to use this on an annual basis going forward.
Larry, I made reference in the contract, it says that Larry has the authority to go ahead and call them, have them come and do that, to make sure the commissioners were involved in any of those decisions. Larry said to make sure that he lets you guys know before they authorize a bunch of charges or anything.
Larry's like the 4th or 5th commissioner anyway. So.
We've had a couple of serious problems, and
Yeah.
and we needed all the help we could get at that time, and we've worked through them very nicely. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, by aye. Aye.
Thank you. The last one is another contract amendment. This is a contract amendment. It's also with VS Engineering, but this is for a specific bridge number 37. And during the environmental review process, it was discovered that there was no asbestos report for this bridge. So in order to do that, they had to include that in the contract. That is a change. The asbestos report is $3,000. So this amendment just reflects being able to take care of that asbestos report for the environmental review.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to open the floor for public comment that is not pertaining to the rezoning that we're going to do here next. Is there any public comment for the commissioners? Seeing none. comment from elected officials? Mr. Gardner?
Commissioners, just a question. I know a while back, you had presented a plan to the council on security for the building, which was a modification to the front of the building and/or guard and everything else that you had supported. Has anything happened with that? Is there any information on it, or is it just a no to it?
You
Just
know-
wondering for the people that are asking.
I don't remember the council's rules, but they tabled it at least three meetings ago, and I think that, under their rules, I think that kills us if they don't bring it back to the agenda after the first meeting.
Okay.
So anything we would do on that would need an additional, request for additional appropriation. We have no money to do anything more on that right now.
Yeah, I will say we've had at least 3 more meetings with Rachel Leslie and her team. We have came up with a plan where we've got about $17 million of our $21 million pretty much planned out of ARPA money that we're going to bring to the council probably the first meeting in February. We wanted to do it in January, but since they're having an organizational meeting and then the second meeting, well, I'm not sure what's going on with that agenda. So we'll be back. There still certainly is a need for security here. We recognize that. You know, kudos to you, Kevin, Diana, and everybody else that's met with the Vigo County Crisis Management Team. We're working on getting larger door numbers on the doors for emergency purposes. Also, John Childs has done an amazing job. He's been up and very active in the building, walking around and making sure our employees are safe at this point. Moving forward in 2023, I think we'll come up with something that may be a little bit more cost effective. I will say there's no lie that we did shoot for the moon when it came to an entrance of this building, but we just did that to keep our employees safe and the public safe as they come in here. So we'll just see what happens in 23 and working with the council in 23.
Thank you.
Any other questions from elected officials or even department heads? Okay. We're going to quickly move into, no, I should say quickly, we're going to move into this rezoning meeting. I know a lot of you have spoke before. We're going to have Jared Baylor come up here. And if you want to, Jared, pull a chair up next to Mr. Bramble, or if you want to use the podium, however you want to do it. Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, join us up here. Heck yeah. We're going to give Karen just a minute here to switch her software over. Yep.
Okay. So the one item we have before you this morning is UZO 14-22. That is the property not commonly associated with any address. It does have a parcel number. We know it is just west of Hymanto and slightly to the north as well. We have visited this issue in the past. It was previously tabled, and both the Area Plan Commission meeting as well as the previous commissioners meeting, there has been quite a bit of public comment. There's also been quite a bit of that entered into your minutes from the previous meeting. There were letters of remonstrance. There have been people here to speak against it. The petitioner was present at all meetings, and petitioner has now hired counsel, who I believe would like to address you this morning with some additional information.
Sure.
Yes, that is correct. It is currently A1 agricultural. The proposed zoning is M1 light manufacturing. Yes. Yes, M1 light manufacturing.
Mr. Shagley, LFM.
Good evening, Mr. President, fellow members, fellow commissioners. My name is Richard Shagley. I'm with the law firm of Wright, Shagley & Lowry. And today, this morning, I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Lindy and Marilyn Miller. They're the owners of LFM Quality Laboratories. And they're here today, again, to ask you to rezone this piece of property from A1 to M1, light manufacturing. We have had many public comments with regard to what the Millers are proposing to do on this property. In my records, I've only heard one comment that's pertaining to rezoning, because ultimately this is a question of is light manufacturing a good fit for this location? That's the question we have here today, not what the Millers are proposing to do or how they do it, but simply is would light manufacturing work in this area? And as you know, this is on a state highway. There's mixed use all along this corridor. And as a result, the Millers believed that this was a good natural fit for our community. And as a result, they're here today asking for this property rezoned. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, Mike, for Mr. Shagley? Okay. Mr. Shagley, I'd like to, I was a part of the first meeting. I was not a part of the second meeting, which I apologize. I was in Washington, D.C. I've also watched the Area Plan Commission meeting, and I've heard all of your comments. Is there anybody here that wants to make a comment that pertains to the rezoning or something we have not heard? Please. We're going to give you guys about a minute.
I'm glad I have the opportunity to speak today. And before I get started, I want to take a moment to thank all of you here today on this panel for your hard work and your dedication to this community. I know you guys often have really difficult decisions to make, and I'm sure that today is no exception to that. And I also want to respectfully remind you that each of you won your seat here today by people like me, people like many of us sitting in this room today, and each one of those votes was a vote of trust for you all to always put the best interest and the best needs of your constituents at the forefront of every decision that you make. I believe I speak on behalf of many today when I say that I have racked my brain trying to think of possible benefits that this rezoning could present to our community, and I can think of none. However, I can think of a few for Mr. Shagley's clients, like, for instance, their personal gain. And while I do come up empty-handed on pros for the community, I can think of several cons off the top of my head, and I would like to touch briefly on a couple of those today. As Samantha Morton mentioned at the November 15th meeting, technology is quickly making the need and the use, not to mention the funding, of animal testing obsolete. In part, because of this, we have federal agencies like the FDA and the EPA that are eliminating and reducing testing and funding for animal testing all across the United States. Yet today, we propose expanding that in Vigo County. Why? Why? And then that leads me to my next concern. With the large and steady increase or decline in both the need and the use for animal testing and the major push and support for even more advancements in technology, wouldn't it be quite like opening Pandora's box today if you approved this zoning? Because I've recently learned that light industry includes things such as paper, cigarettes, detergents, chemical processing products, and fertilizers. Should this technology, or I should say when this technology puts Mr. Miller's business out of business, will this land and this rezoning open the door for that kind of industry, more of it in our backyard? Because I don't think that's what this community wants or needs. Or will it just become another dangerous eyesore in our community like the one that we have on Beach Street? I believe it's 16th and Beach, the old Columbia House. That's a problem. We don't need more of that. And I do understand that this decision today, this choice that you have today to make, isn't so much of a moral choice as it is a business choice. But I still do want to remind you today that the animals that sit in Mr. Miller's facility right now, as I speak, they all experience the same emotions that you and I do, the same basic emotions. Emotions like joy, emotions like excitement, but also emotions like loneliness, fear, depression. Have you ever seen tears of grief fall from a dog's eyes? Because I have. And according to PETA, there were more than 300,000 animals between the years of 2015 and 2019 that were subjected to painful experiments with absolutely no pain relief. I certainly do not want a practice like that to become an even bigger piece of Terre Haute's history than it already is right now. So I thank you today for your time, and I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, ask each one of you to vote a big no on this rezoning today for your community and your constituents. Thank you for your time.
Can I have your name too? I'm sorry, I didn't.
My name is Nancy Hoopengartner. Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak today? That Mr. Cruzan, you can go first real quick, and then we'll give it to you. Go ahead, Howard. Oh. Yeah, please.
I'm here. I have no affiliation with either side here. I have just had the experience of working in animal facilities. I work for Commercial Solvents, IMC, Washington Crossing, Pittman Moore, Pfizer's, Eli Lilly, and we have had animal facilities in this area for over 50 or 60 years. They provided decent jobs. They also provided jobs for construction people to build the facilities and full-time employees to help operate the facilities. I worked in toxicology. I worked for mice, rats, guinea pigs, dogs, rabbits, chickens, turkeys, all the bird family, bobwhite quail. We were in the business to improve the lifestyle of these animals, not to harm them, not to endanger them, but to help mankind. Not only human beings, but to also help our pets and animals. It's a little misconstrued when it says the whole community or the community. It's not the community, it's people in the community. It's like politics, there's a split. I don't know Dr. Miller that well, but I have heard and know of his friends who state that this gentleman works extremely hard, long hours, not just 5 days a week, but 7 days a week, to help improve our pets and their lives. And for someone to say, in my mind, that these animals are suffering, I worked around a lot of animals. I'd never seen any animals suffer. I never saw any abuse in 25 years except one time on a dairy study. And the gentleman, when I saw the abuse, was sent to HR and he was dismissed from the company. We don't tolerate that. To me, abuse also includes animals being filmed and propaganda on television that are laying out shivering in the cold with chains around their neck. Me and my kind hearts, first thing I'd say if I saw an animal like this, would go pick them up, hug them, get them in where it's warm. Don't lay out there and get until you got the best picture to use this as propaganda. The animals in animal facilities are warm in the winter, cool in the summer, fed well. To cut it short, these facilities, it's a mandate, it's a law from the federal government that these products be tested because of levels. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the thalidomide in the 60s. Several people were born without arms, fingers, because the compounds were not tested. Any medication we take has been tested to figure out what is the best and safest dose level. I don't see anybody protesting doctors being in business. They're the ones that prescribe the drugs. And why would they be prescribing drugs that are harmful to the body? And anyway, I'm about done here, but this is a addition to the community. As I said, it creates jobs, and they're not just a temporary job, they're full-time jobs. And I hoping that you will take this into consideration, why these studies are done. It's to help improve your pets, your children, your grandchildren's lives, make them safe, keep them healthy. So I appreciate your time, and this is all.
Can we have your name for the record, too?
Howard Ruzane.
Richard, hold on. I saw one more hand. We're going to give that guy the opportunity to speak, and then we'll be finished here. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, it's Stephen Gwynn.
Okay.
And I'm here to represent or voice concerns from the Gwynn family, who owns property adjoining both parcels purchased by LFM Quality Laboratories to the west side. So our concerns would be more of the rezoning and the location of this. So one of our concerns would be like added insurance cost to our property insurance, living next to industrialized or commercial property. I mean, I know that insurance companies looks at proximity to risk or damage prevention risk, you know, claim rates for adjoining properties. You know, what's this going to do to our property, our insurance? What would we have to endure as far as cost living next to, you know, an industrialized area? Because, you know, I mean, we're assuming that both parcels would be rezoned, if not now or sometime in the future. Other concerns we have are like environmental concerns. So every parcel, you know, has a natural flow or runoff. A majority of the two parcels purchased by LFM Quality Laboratories has a natural runoff to our property. There's creeks, there's ditches, waterways, whatever you want to call that. There's a natural flow into our creek. This creek is, I mean, it's a good size, and it runs from the northern part to the southern part of our property, which crosses French Drive. I mean, you have to have a bridge across the road to accommodate this. This creek is a tributary to Turman Creek, which flows south and feeds Thunder Pond, south of Farmersburg. So, we have to get, you know, water samples, because we have well water. So we have to get soil samples, water samples, you know, for creek. You know, we need to do that now to get a baseline for any, you know, spills or waste, because any of the buildings or parking lots that are put on this property, it's going to have a natural flow of runoff onto our property. There's a old pond that's there, you know, and the dam side is on ours, goes to our property and flows into the creek. So, I mean, any future use of that pond, would it be like a holding pond or used for a lagoon? So anything like that is naturally going to end up on our property. So we were just concerned about like costs like that, you know, I mean, like things that, you know, we may have to endure or encounter with this, or any contamination or spills or anything, because I know like industrialized area, you kind of amp all that up, and I mean, there's mechanical things fail, you know, pipes break, there's human error, things happen. And I mean, is there any way that that's, you know, contained You know, I know like in industrial parks, you know, they have ways, they have sand piles, they have ways to contain any of that issues and stuff. There's also like the aspect of like any fires, because we have a classified forest which has mature hardwoods, so if there's any fire or anything like that, that could happen. I mean, are we gonna, you know, so there goes with the insurance or added cost of what we would be losing as far as our values with an industrialized area next to our property. In an area that, you know, doesn't have any of this now. So yeah, that's pretty much what you know, some of our concerns were with the industrialization next to our property. I mean, it was like, you know, when we have to, you know, put up a fence or something, you know, for any unwanted guests. Just a lot of concerns with that.
Okay. All right, thank you. We'll try to get some of those answers for you right here. So, Mike, do you have a question?
I got a question of Kevin. Can you come here a minute, Kevin? So, we've got 13 acres, valuation, appraised value showing on Beacon for $4,100. That sound right?
If it's appraised as ag, correct, probably,
Okay.
because the ag rate's set by the state.
Okay. 13 acres, $4,100. Okay. All right. Just curious.
And that would be capped at 2% if you're looking at tax revenue.
Okay.
If it became a different class,
And this
light
property,
manufacturing, it would go up.
and the sale amount of this property for the Millers was $395,000, sale date 9/8/22. So Mr. Wynn's considerations are valid, what it might do with his property values, I would say. Okay.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Property values are affected by sales that take place by state statute,
Yeah.
but that's within a class. If a piece of property is, let's say, light manufacturing or commercial or whatever class other than if his is ag,
Right.
then it would affect the values of the light manufacturing property. It would not affect the value of ag from an assessing standpoint.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Mr. Shagley, can you address maybe some of the concerns of Mr. Gwynn?
Absolutely. So as far as the insurance goes, this should have no negative impact on the neighbor's insurance in these situations. His concern about some environmental concerns, all property owners are responsible for what goes on their property. In this particular situation, LFM is not only regulated by several federal agencies, but state agencies. They'll have to answer to IDEM in the situation if that creek is contaminated. The type of business that is being proposed, any waste is obviously self-contained, and they'll be and continue to be responsible property owners in maintaining their property. As I said, LFM is highly regulated through multiple state and federal agencies, and then will, like all of us, will be regulated by IDEM. I applaud his comments because they're more related to actual rezoning. Ultimately, this is on a major thoroughfare. If we were trying to put this in the middle of a neighborhood, and all these people were neighbors that live in the neighborhood, then we could have a discussion. But ultimately, we have people here not liking what they do, and a comment was made earlier about Pandora's box. If a decision is made in a rezoning situation where you don't like what they do, as opposed to it not fitting the zoning requirements, that is a Pandora's box I would not suggest you open up. Because then it's, well, I don't like fast food, so we're not going to allow any more fast food places. I don't buy that particular brand of cars. We're not going to allow that to come in. The decision, the market will dictate if they stay in business. It shouldn't be the people sitting at this table. the simple question we're here today is, does light manufacturing work on Highway 41? And I think the question is yes, because there is light manufacture on 41. There's also commercial, and there's everything else. So that's why Elephant chose this property, and that's why we're here today asking this property be rezoned. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you have with regard to this matter.
I have none. Mr. Miller and Mr. Shagley, I know you're representing him, but if do you have anything you'd like to say before we do anything else, or?
One last thing, since you brought up taxes, the amount of taxes the county will get does go up because this will be light manufacturing. And also this is going from 7 full-time jobs to approximately 20 full-time jobs in our community.
Jared, a question for you.
Yes.
If Mr. Miller would have went anywhere in the community to an already M1 zoned property, these folks wouldn't have had the opportunity to even say anything, correct? Because he could have went right into business.
It is a permitted use by right, and while the gentleman was speaking, I took the liberty of bringing up that section of code.
Okay.
And can provide you with all of the uses that are allowed under code by right, under the M1. Also wanted to mention that the gentleman had concerns about like buffering, things of that. There are no buffering requirements against agricultural, so the property would be able to be utilized up to and within 15 feet of the property boundary.
And what are some of those examples of M1?
Sure. I'm pulling this right from section 10(1)(b)(1), which is uses permitted under the M1 district. And there are a list of them, so bear with me, please. It is any industrial manufacturing, processing, cleaning, refining, assembling, wholesale cleaning service, testing, repair, or storage of material goods or products not elsewhere listed in this ordinance, assembling of pre-manufactured parts, sub-assemblies, components, assembly or repair or manufacture of light component parts, canning of food, not including slaughtering, construction and home remodeling companies, contractors of any type, engraving on stone, food products, secondary food processing and packaging, initially processed off-premise, job printing, any size, laboratories, including engineering, pharmaceutical, research and testing, leather curing and tanning, liquor and spirit distillation, machine shop, packaging of food, produce terminal, storage and transfer establishment, warehouse and distribution center, water treatment plant, a welding shop. And there are a handful of special exception uses also listed, but those would require Board of Zoning Appeals approval.
Mike, you want to give some comments, and then I'll give some comments, and then I'll wrap up here?
Hey, so the piece we're talking about is not where this lake that's, the dam's blown out. We're not talking about that piece of property anyway.
No.
All right, okay. All right. Okay.
Any other comments, Mike?
Nope.
I just want to say, yeah, Mr. Gwynn. You just, yeah.
Certainly.
Another concern was, too, as far as an industrialized area, there's not too many utilities as far as that. Would we have to provide like right-of-ways or easements across our property that, we've owned since the late 40s when my grandfather returned from World War II. So we tried to keep this, property within the family for anybody who wanted to put a house or build something or, any activities like that. So we tried to preserve that. I mean, would there be any chance like where somebody would have to like put, right-of-ways or easements or utilities, to run any of that across the property that we'd lose?
Jared can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all the utilities are on US 41. So
Okay. All right.
it would just go right into his
Now,
property.
as far as like concerning something else that you brought up, like if our well water was contaminated, are you saying that we would be responsible for? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
Just like if a farmer was putting too many chemicals and it's washing off onto property, contact IDEM, you have to control your property.
Well, I just want to say, yeah, please. Yep, this will be the last one, yeah.
morning, Commissioners. Thank you. I'll be very brief. My name is Samantha Morton, and I'm the Indiana State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. I thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration of this issue. Last meeting I was here and I talked a little bit about some animal welfare concerns. I just wanted to bring up some zoning issues just briefly today. You know, I really want to applaud the Planning Commission for an unfavorable recommendation in this situation, because they had found that there was no benefit to adding an additional 40 acres of industrial zoning to this location, so close to already so close to already zoned and improved locations. Further, I want to remind you that this zoning decision is permanent, and so for anyone to have come back in to rezone that property, you're setting a dangerous precedent here. It's not just this decision today, but for the future in terms of zoning. And then last, I just wanted to say, you know, look at how many people are in this room. You have these meetings monthly. How many times do people from your community come and have their voice heard on a particular issue? And I think that that's something that I urge you to consider as elected officials, people who are taking time away from their busy lives and their families and their jobs because they care about their community in this issue. So when you vote today, I encourage you to think about that. On behalf of our members in Vigo County, I thank you, and I thank you for your thoughtful consideration of this issue. Thank you.
Samantha, can you clarify something? You said it got an unfavorable recommendation from the Planning Commission?
The Planning Department, the professional planning staff.
What now?
Planning Commission gave it a favorable right.
The Planning Commission. So you're privy to what our area planning department, what, I mean, you went in and polled them, or what did, I mean?
So it was in the minutes. I read it in the minutes from a previous meeting.
It was in the minutes?
Correct.
I understood it was a favorable recommendation.
I believe the staff report was unfavorable, the commission feels favorable.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Clarification.
The area plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for the staff report to give it a unfavorable because of certain conditions. And the beauty about the system is the petitioner is able to come in front of the commission and explain certain details. And then a lot of times, once those details are explained, then that's when the area plan commission will rule and give it a favorable recommendation, even though the staff report was unfavorable. Because sometimes the staff report can only go by what they have in front of them, and there's not that opportunity to provide additional information.
So that board is how many members, Jared?
14.
So 14 members, and it
Yes.
was a unanimous vote, do you know, or was it,
Yes, it was.
yeah, it was favorable?
Favorable.
I just want to say, Samantha, Ms. Hooper-Garner, I appreciate your guys' professionalism. We don't see much of that nowadays, so your comments were very well taken, so we appreciate that, and the previous meeting. So we're here today just to simply rezone a piece of property if we think it's fit for a business to grow. I see some heads shaking already, I know, I'm sorry. This is just business. I'm going to make a motion to approve the rezoning. I believe as a commissioner, it is my job to allow anybody in our community to grow if they see fit. Mr. Miller is growing his business from 7 people to 20 people, and I don't have a problem with that. There's a lot of business that's moving into our industrial park, and like I asked Jared if Mr. Miller would have wanted to move into a property already zoned M1, he could have done that, and not too many folks would have had the opportunity to say anything about it, but I appreciate your concern, so that's my motion.
Second.
All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
Appreciate it,
much.
Mr. Shagley.
Have a good day.
That will conclude our meeting.